everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And you are listening to LowBlowRadio podcast. This is the blow-by-blow of AEW Dynamite. It's Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. And, we had a jam-packed episode of Dynamite. Kind of felt like a bit of a throwback one where they just did a whole lot of matches and not a lot of other stuff, which was kind of nice to see.
Yeah, and I think I really enjoyed it. And the other stuff that we got that was a massive, massive departure from what we usually get as far as promo video skit, right? So
totally, yeah. Not all of them kind of felt the same. They were all in different places, and then some of them drastically very, very different, which we will get to as we go through the blow-by-blow here. But yeah, I thought a very entertaining 2 hours. I had a lot of fun watching this, so excited to get to the matches here. So we kicked off with something that will continue throughout the entire night, which is the tournament to crown the next number one contender for the AEW World title. And this is the first round in that tournament. So the first matchup we got was Wardlow taking on Jungle Boy. This was a pretty fun match from both these guys. I know you don't watch a ton of Dark, but they have certainly been racking up some wins there. The commentary got that over a fair bit, but even if you hadn't seen that, just them coming off of their tag matches and stuff like that, this was nice to see them put on a good singles competition.
Plus, as you say, I don't get to see Dark. I'm busy winning poker at that time of day on a Tuesday. So, but this week, the difference was versus other weeks where it's been guys you've had to tell me about their Dark career. Yeah. Commentary filled me in. They told me he's 9-0 this year, hasn't lost a match. He's killing it on Dark every week. Excalibur explained that. Great, right? Now I'm satisfied as the guy that doesn't get to see him wrestle all the time. Yeah. I'll take your word for it, commentary, but you got to tell me. So I thought that was fantastic. And I really enjoyed the match. It was probably the result I think you expect, because I think piece together where this is going to go for the rest of the evening. Matchups. But regardless of that, it was a solid, not squash match, but big man. Like, he put on a heck of a power performance. All those big rough and tumble moves. Like, he looked really good.
Yeah, I'm going to say, going to the Dark stuff that he's been doing, a lot of it obviously has been squash stuff, which is what they tend to do on Dark. There's a few more competitive matchups, but it tends to be more squash oriented, especially when it comes to the Wardlow stuff. I don't think he's had a match on there that's gone more than 3 minutes or something like that. So that was definitely a bit more of a stretch here too, to push him to an 8-9 minute pushed match. With Jungle Boy, it was nice to see all the kind of tricks that Jungle Boy had to throw in there, how much he had sort of studied Wardlow as well. But just what kind of powerhouse Wardlow really is. And nice that they had sort of been keeping him off Dynamite in some of the more upper class competition stuff to just sort of rack up some wins on Dark, and then be escalated to a big moment here in the tournament. So a really good showing for Wardlow. And like you were saying, it was a little predetermined when you start looking at the brackets and who's sort of moving on to the next rounds, the matchups you kind of want to see. But I don't think the match itself took away from any of that. There were certainly moments where it seemed like Jungle Boy could get the big shock win and move on forward, and there were moments where it just seemed like Wardlow was going to dominate totally. So very, very fun opening match from these two. I enjoyed when I'm trying to think back to some of the stuff I remember being really good. The counter for the knee strike in the corner was really good from Jungle Boy, hitting him with his knee, and then that huge F10 from the outside to Jungle Boy from the rampway into the ring. And then the second one to finish the match that was very, very, very good showing for Wardlow.
Yeah, I like both those. There was a nice ring post toss on the outside that Wardlow threw Jungle Boy into. It just looked very real. It looked like it hurt like hell. And there was a really tight spinning elbow that Jungle Boy threw that looked good as well in the one corner. It was during the match. I like that. Wardlow, the only clumsy spot I saw from him was him kind of staggering on that, heading to the outside after Jungle Boy I think it was a missed plunge or something. He's supposed to dive out, but obviously you don't want to hurt yourself. But it just looked a bit awkward. But it was the only thing I caught tonight off Wardlow where I thought it was an awkward looking stumble. Yeah. Everything else tonight, he looked fluent. The last time I think I saw him on Dynamite was a tag team with MJF against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Yeah. And they kept him limited in-ring performance that night because he is a bit green. So it was pretty obvious tonight, having not seen him for a while on Dark, how much he has gotten better in his in-ring stuff. So as you said, giving him an 8-9 minute match tonight, vastly different from quick 3-minute appearances or partial in a tag match.
No, for sure, and I think allowing him some time on Dark to elevate himself allows for a better opportunity here. Because going straight from one of those tag matches to a big 8-minute match like this, we would have got something maybe totally different, maybe full of a few more slip ups and things like that. But he seems to be a little bit more adjusted and not having to worry about the TV distractions or anything like that. So nice showing for Wardlow here, getting the big win and moving on to the next round. Moving on in the night, we got a wow, I made you think I really wish Dynamite was a little short last week, and this was how the night actually ended. They gave us a little clip as to what happened when they went off the air last week, and man, what a promo from Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, just so good.
Yeah.
On fire. Eddie Kingston, some of the best promo work right now I'm seeing him wrestling. We were just talking about before we started filming. Next to Roman Reigns' recent stuff, which has been hot fire. This is next level shit from Eddie Kingston. He just sounds fantastic, so believable, so intense.
Yeah,
I'm more invested immediately in this story with him and Moxley than I think I have been with any other of Moxley's AEW opponents and stories so far.
No, I would totally agree too. Like, I think it's always about the sort of opponent too in some of these sort of situations.
Oh,
but
for
this
sure.
Definitely is telling a very good. It just seems to work so perfectly with the Moxley character. Not that the MJF character being a very opposite thing to Moxley and showing that he can do something different like that was a good stretch too for the character. But this version of John Moxley is what I like to see. We'll get to it right after this, where he sort of had his video package as well. Definitely pulling no punches at this point. At first, showing some sort of niceness towards Eddie Kingston and respect and those kind of things. But then, also laying out how he really feels about him and that kind of stuff too. So I prefer that kind of edge to Moxley. And I think that what having Eddie and that sort of real history between them has led to what's going to be a really good feud, I think, leading into Full Gear.
Okay, it's always blur those lines. Blur the lines between some reality and fantasy. Again, we all know we're watching wrestling. We all know the score. Yeah. But when you can blur the lines to the point of, it is true they wrestled together for years in the coming up. And then Moxley got his shot in WWE. Whether or not he really said, I'm going to bring you along, all that's great. But the way that Kingston delivers it and tells me, I'm buying it. I'm believing that he left him behind in the dirt. And he doesn't want to be this guy, as he goes into later on in the night, where I don't want to be lying to myself. I can't look myself in the mirror. But I had to do this, and look where it got me. End result justifies the means by which you get there. Woo! It was beautiful shit. And just, the Moxley's response, as you said, it was the same stuff. The honesty in it, the feeling behind it.
You didn't
bring that realism in from what we know. This was a character that you have plucked from WWE that we all felt as your fans, all knew you were being misused. We so badly wanted to see you out of there. And now we have. But here's the ramification that here's another guy that we like as your fans, as a Moxley fan. You're going to love Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Right? It's so great.
No, as invested as you can be in Eddie as well, they just show you how much there's a reason Moxley's the champ and all that kind of stuff. And the comments about, you didn't tap. Yeah, that was because you're too busy drooling and passing out, bud. Like, to really laying out the reality for Eddie here a little bit and showing that he's definitely ready to silence things. And that's always a different sort of side to see from your face too, when they're the ones wanting the matchup too, and that always puts a little bit more trepidation on you too, where you're like, ooh, well, they could. There's an instant they could lose their belt here. It's not like it's someone coming up and like trying to take it from them. They're the one putting it up in a big opportunity here. He certainly has a lot to overcome trying to make Eddie quit finally. So no, I think that's perfectly played from Eddie's perspective as well from Moxley's response. So excited to see what happens from those two on the 7th of November. Geez, that's going to be in no time, I feel like. So this build to Full Gear has been a lot of fun. So excited to see what happens as that train rolls on. And speaking of that, definitely my favorite match of these tournament ones was the next one. We got Sonny Kiss taking on Kenny Omega. This this was a last-minute replacement. Sonny Kiss replacing Joey Janela, as they were
COVID
telling us.
Janela.
COVID Janela, the man who just cannot stay away from his old stomping grounds in GCW, was there on the weekend competing. Had said he may have come in contact with someone who may have had COVID and had decided that he was going to pull himself off the card. Yeah, probably for the best. But yeah, if that all that aside, I think the match was going to play out the same regardless, and it would have been interesting to have Joey in this situation or Sonny, but both of them would have done a great job with what this had to be. What did you make of this match?
No, I thought it was. I was actually a bit surprised that they went the squish route, because I thought we were going to get to see. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we were going to see the same match regardless. So I thought we were going to see a bit of what, Janela put up some fight against Omega, and Omega get the win. Right. I didn't expect it to be a squish fit for Janela, so I was surprised to see it go that way. I thought we'd see a bit of not Sonny nearly beat him, but I thought we'd see a bit more offense and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, very surprised to see it just be basically need a fake V-trigger, one wing angel, 3 count.
I was, oh my gosh, I was marking out for this. The new entrance for Kenny with the
entrance with
sweeper girls was like, ridiculous.
Triple H, hold my fucking beer. Here's an entrance. This is just TV, you bastard. Wait till pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, the new haircut, the new kind of look and all this stuff. The accolades from Justin Roberts on the commentary as they're putting him over. I was like, he either comes in here and loses to Sonny Kiss, or what happens, which was he was just so overconfident. We'll get to it when we get to the Hangman match, where it was just two very different things.
Yes.
Hangman was like confident and proud in a different way of his like overcoming a situation and winning this match, and it was the confidence that Kenny has, that and how damn good he is, and maybe how much he's been holding back over this last year, and just the inclinations that could be associated with this squash is just insane. Because we've seen more competitive matches from Kenny in the past, and it certainly seemed like it was lining up to be something like that. He was very respectful with Sonny in the startup and stuff like that, and then he just instantly saw a moment to take advantage of that, hit the one winged angel and get that finish. And after the fact, I was like, I think that was going to happen with Joey as well. I think he was probably going to do the same sort of thing. They were going to get over that these two had a match before on Dark that was really, really close as well, that Joey had put on a good competition with Kenny, and it was going to be a good rematch, and then he was just going to get blown right out of the water right away. And I think that just elevates a whole different side of Kenny. We don't get a ton of big surprise squashes like that, so they're one of my favorite things when they happen. So really, really, really enjoyed that, and it was certainly one of the surprises for me of this evening.
It wasn't the Kenny Omega we've seen since AEW's Open, where it is competitive. You're right. It was just completely different. And the accolade stuff, I'd forgotten about that, because my instinct was he's going to lose.
Yeah.
And then within 3 seconds, nope, he's not. So, but the 7 times broken the Dave Meltzer 5-star system. 6-time PWI Top 500 Wrestler of the Year. Sports Illustrated Wrestler of the Year.
Well, his
mom's favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, geez, no. We're not getting. Don't start bringing up that poor guy. But don't need to start associating him with that. But no, I thought that after this match happened, the implications of it, I felt it in every other tournament match as the rest of the night kind of played out. So that was really, really fun to see, and excited to see what happens next when they decide, I guess we'll get to the other tournament matches as the night goes on. But yes, quite a squash we got here from Kenny. We get a quick little interview with Orange Cassidy in the back, kind of classic Orange, not giving a shit. Nice to see yet again. Thinking that once again they're going to be on tour heading off to somewhere else, but no, right back in Jacksonville, and that's where you'll have your match with Cody next week, who we also had a quick little interview with.
Whatever.
Yeah, these were certainly a bit of a lull. Yeah, it was a sort of a nothing from Cody, sort of implications that there's going to be a stipulation added to their matchup, but yeah, not really a different side to Cody. Not really putting over Orange too, how close it really was, right? I mean,
exactly.
Other than saying the champion's advantage. So again, I'm waiting to see something happen, but I don't know.
Still that overconfidence, that overconfident overture from Rhodes while he's standing there, dismissing that I still have champion's advantage, just like last week, and he had to beat me. As Tony Schiavone said, if it was a 20-minute and 1-second match, Orange does win.
Yeah.
So it's silly for Cody to be that arrogant unless he's the heel. Except he's not really the heel because he was such a nice guy to the commentary girl. Like it's constantly presenting this tweener role by him.
Yeah.
Which I don't dislike at all. I find AEW very much just runs this tweener line. Everybody's face or heel, depending on your take any given night, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think that's grown up pro wrestling. I don't need to see, the superhero versus the supervillain.
For sure. I think unless he has to commit one way or the other, I find I'm okay if he has to sort of float in this mid-range. I do find it tends not to be the best Cody matches, though. If he's full on face or full on heel, you get a little bit more invested in the stories and things like that from him. So I find when he's teetering a little bit, it's a little harder to be invested in stuff when he's sort of nonchalant, not really putting over Orange.
Sure.
Just curious to see where it goes.
Dull.
So
this promo was dull. No, like it was just about and Orange is supposed to be, that's his gimmick, but Cody just was a blasé. Fortunately, they followed it up with more gold from Eddie Kingston.
Absolutely.
This was his rebuttal to Moxley. And where he admits that, I'm not the same guy that you knew, your old buddy. I've gone to this dark place. I had to. You made me this, the sport made me, but I love it. And that's how much that world title means. It's elevating the world title again. We're then just talking, right? It's so good. Do you see any way that Kingston comes away with the belt with this?
Man, maybe. I don't know. And I like that, though. I like that where at first you could be like, okay, this is just, as they wait for, especially when it waiting in the wings is this tournament, right? Where when it feels like you're getting either Hangman getting a second opportunity or Kenny Omega getting a second opportunity at that world title again, which as fans, that seems like would be the much bigger thing to have happen, go up against Moxley and stuff like that. But as far as builds and stories have been and things like that right now, even if they had to sort of shift gears for a little bit, I could see Eddie taking that belt, maybe not keeping it. They've shown that they're not every title win means another long title reign. He could lose it right back to Moxley or something like that, maybe, or somebody else, who knows. But man, at first, you're leaning a lot more one way, but his promos just certainly elevate it to feel like it could certainly go more his way.
I'm starting to wonder if there is this Star Has Been Born thing going on where they stumbled into such hot fire with the promo, and the act is great. His in-ring stuff is excellent. Him and Moxley put on such a good match. I think what was supposed to be a one and done has turned into something more than that, where maybe there is some shift in the direction needs to be done now, or will be done, that maybe wasn't in the cards a month and a half ago. I'm so interested in it and so invested in this particular matchup, though. I think it's going to be a really, really, really good match. I'm really curious about how they're going to finish it, because I don't see Kingston saying I quit, and I don't see Moxley saying I quit. So I don't want to see a Foley over the loudspeaker I quit. I don't think we're gonna.
No,
because it's AEW, right? I'd be much more concerned that was going to be our finish on the entertainment show. But this, I'm confident we're not going to get that. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's what makes it so much more intriguing, right? Because in WWE, that some of that is de-escalated because of how many false finishes you get, and when that's sort of taken away. But we've had, again, you're far more catered here in AEW to understand that, like, no, we have proper finishes, like matches have stipulations, and those are the stipulations that are fulfilled here. You're not getting, swerved in some silly way like that. Like, and then that's what makes it so intriguing, because it is an I Quit match. And that's, like we said, at first you're not sure who, or that it would, at first it seems like it would be more of a Moxley win. But again, once the stipulation gets announced, all this stuff from Kingston gets said in his promos and things like that, all of a sudden you're like, man, this could go the other way, just all due to the way it ends up being booked. And I think that just comes down to some fantastic storytelling yet again from AEW.
Plus, if we don't get a real finish in a match, their owner has a press conference. So we know Khan's not going to want to do that every fucking week.
No, exactly. He marks too easy. So we all know he can't keep a straight face. But moving on, we got our third, yes, first round tournament matchup. Penta L0M taking on his brother Ray Phoenix, which they certainly let us know about in this matchup from the commentary booth that these two were related.
This was my favorite match of the night.
Oh my God, yes.
Just fantastic stuff. As we heard over and over again from Excalibur and the rest of the booth, they've worked against and with each other for a long time, and it showed. The chemistry is obvious. Everything they do is just so well worked.
Yeah.
I love that corkscrew flip off the top rope that Ray Phoenix did. I didn't know what Excalibur called it, but he just goes spinning and spinning and spinning. It was like 3 corkscrews on his way down. That was beautiful. The top rope walk spot, where Ray's walking along the top rope like he's going to do the old Undertaker old school thing, but Penta kicks the ropes and knocks him off it. Yeah. That is harder to do what they did with that spot than it would be to do the old school spot or pull off an actual botch.
Yeah.
What they did for that was fucking beautiful. It was so well worked and well done. No, I thought that was excellent.
No, and I liked
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, no, I just liked that story of how well they knew each other starting out, and then trying to overdo each other and that kind of stuff, and then the commentators getting over how much they'd competed with each other in the past, and it definitely showed not only in their in-ring competition or like in-ring skills with each other and their fluidity with each other and their familiarity with each other, but it was their storytelling without words, which obviously you could tell they had to do for so long, being second language. Obviously, if they were coming over from Mexico, that English would be the second thing they were learning, and that you wouldn't be able to get over with an audience with promos and things like that. So you would have to tell a story with your facial expressions and your in-ring storytelling, and they definitely applied a lot of that to this match, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I was going to say as well, with lucha wrestling, you got so much less on the facial expression side because of the masks typically, that you have to learn that much more with your body language and the whole thing. Yeah. And they definitely, I agree completely. They show that brilliantly. The drop kick to upside down Ray while he was the picture sadly spoiled it a little bit, but Ray was upside down on the apron and Penta drop kicked him in the face. He just drops like a lead balloon to the floor from the apron, but lands perfectly. Like it's so well done. Yeah. To the looking believable, but not dangerous, and well done. I thought he did land on his head on the Hurricane Rana. I didn't think that was a botched spot or a mistake of any kind. I think that was what happened. I didn't think he was playing possum per se.
Yeah.
Looked like he landed on his damn head. So But the Spanish Fly was fantastic, and
he recovered, got back into things, and they obviously had slowed the pace down a little bit there and brought things back up. But no, I mean the chops early on when they were just trying to wear each other down, and just the extra aggression from Pentagon, but then him sort of retreating on it a little bit once it was really showing the wear and tear on his brother, and the commentators kind of expressing that too. But then that hesitation being his comeuppance in the end was just fantastic, simple storytelling from these two. And then it seems like it could either be they could either bury the hatchet and move on, or this seems like it will be the sort of like seeds planted for the maybe breakup of the Lucha Brothers, and maybe a matchup down the road where Penta wants a rematch because he was upset about the finish and that kind of stuff, and you see a more aggressive side from him, and there's all other kinds of places this can go. So great win for Ray Phoenix there to get it over Penta. I didn't know who that was. Another thing too with the Kenny win, and with it being the big squash, and with the commentators talking about how if a match goes the full 20 minutes, the next person gets a bye. That kept sitting in my head too. I was like, oh, and how long this match went. And the longer it went, the more I was like, oh, these two brothers are just going to push each other to the limit, and then Kenny's going to get a bye to the finals. And then I was like, oh, that's so great. And even though that isn't what happened, having it in the back of my mind made me more invested in this matchup. And I think that was just added layers to the whole evening, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with that. I thought it several times too that this was going to go the time limit. I guess I've still got part of my mind that feels Ray Phoenix getting a title match against Jon Moxley makes a lot of sense. I can see that being a couple match feud, if not a feud, just a program for a short time where they have, because I think they will put on some fire matches. So there's a part of me that sees Ray going over Kenny, so that Kenny versus Hangman, we get the matches, but they're not the tournament final down the road. Maybe Hangman costs Kenny, Kenny costs Hangman. I don't think I really think that after tonight, though. After the Sunny Kiss squash, I see Kenny going over Ray Phoenix now next week.
Yeah, it's really tough, a really tough call. But then that's another one too, where they've already had the Phoenix Kenny match. They had it for the belt and that kind of stuff too. So there's already history there, but built in between the two of them. So interesting to see where things will go now that that's the match that's sort of set up. I was curious if they were going to do the Penta rematch that we got from All Out, or All In originally, when all of this sort of started, but they've never really brought that sort of feud back. But they definitely put on a fantastic matchup, and I think either of these guys would put on a great feud with Moxley. A nice fast-paced opponent from Phoenix would be great, but I think a hard-hitting opponent like Pentagon as well would be fun to see in there with Moxley as well. But no, I think it in the end seemed to be the good decision moving on after seeing the squash from Kenny. That this match with Phoenix, I'm a little bit more invested to see how it will end up playing out. But
I gotta think it's gonna last longer than 5 seconds. I think we're gonna see a good match next week, one way or the other, for finish. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got the Best Friends. They said that they know what it's like to have your favorite stuff smashed, the stuff you like smashed. They had Sue's Mom's minivan.
Exactly.
Chuck's Mom Sue's minivan. Not, And then, but that was on purpose. This was an accident. What they did. It wasn't on purpose. It's totally different.
What Trent did. It wasn't Chuck's fault. It was Trent. Chuck specifically made sure to put that over. And Trent didn't seem too happy about that. But yes, we got a bit of a rebuttal from Kip and Miro as they were sort of like, hey, we tried to be friends with everybody here, but don't mess with our stuff. So obviously seems to be that's where these two teams are at least going on further. Whether we get that in the next few weeks or if it builds to Full Gear, we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. They haven't said exactly when the wedding's going to be or the actual bachelor party or anything like that. That seems to have been a little quieted down over the last few weeks. But we'll have to see what else happens with Kip and Miro and the Best Friends.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a matter of having too much other stuff going on, that this isn't getting more spotlight or more time, because I feel like we've really only had 1, 2, maybe the original segment with Miro and then that match, and then since then it's just been very little of these little nothing bits.
Yeah, no, I think it once again comes down to just I think we bring it up almost every week, just how much the show can suffer from being 2 hours, and that you sort of sometimes have to wait a whole month to get the whole roster sort of recognized, and that can be a little tough because they you obviously have to put a lot of focus on your world title, but then you take away the TNT title tonight so that we can focus a lot on the tournament, but all of that takes away from stuff like this with Kip and Miro, and heavily to the women's division as well. They seem very forgotten in this time. So again, there's a bit of ebb and flow, and you hope for more flow. There's just next week you would hope for maybe more Kip and Miro, maybe more women's matches, but obviously we have to continue the tournament. So we just sort of have to see as things sort of play out. Quick little interview with the Dark Order members, Colt Cabana, Dark Silver, and Reynolds, as they put over their matchup. John Silver just getting more and more over every day.
The bit where they're just watching him, Brody, and he walks away, and my friend's just, so anyway, just completely no cells for Silver. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So they're just looking at him like he's a pleb. Colt and Reynolds, that was great. And hey, my friends, we're not your friends. We don't like you.
A little bit more realization in Colt's face too, but still a little bit of that glazed over kind of I'm just winning and my friends want to help me win kind of stuff, and a little bit of confidence for Colt here going in, and certainly a reality check from Silver before he heads out here for the last of our tournament matchups as Colt Cabana took on Hangman Page.
I loved Hangman's quotation in his bio box. Entered the tournament through a series of drunken emails.
I was gonna say, after so many times it's come up on Botchamania, every time he comes out, I try to make sure I catch his little lower third, as they call it, I suppose. And yeah, that one definitely was probably my second biggest, maybe third biggest laugh of the night. There was a few things that really popped me this evening, so we'll get to some of those later on. But that was certainly great, and a fantastic matchup from these two.
Yeah, it was a really good match and a nice win for Hangman.
Yeah,
As you said, contrasting story to what we saw earlier with Kenny's match. This wasn't the easy route. Hangman's got to work for his wins.
that's right.
But he did, and he worked hard, and he beat a good game Boom Boom Colt Cabana. So
yeah, I'm gonna say a simple kind of story on Hangman's perspective, just the sort of overcoming an opponent and dealing with the offense and that kind of stuff, and more so Colt just having to up his game a little bit, being a little bit more aggressive, seeing a different side from him, and showing just like how much he wanted the win, how much he seems to be looking for the title, and wanting to also impress the Dark Order people, having to look for gratification from Evil Uno and things like that as he was looking over the match and things like that. So I thought that told a great story for both members, and another one that sort of teetered on those sort of not as much as the last match, with the sort of idea that it would go the full 20 and Wardlow would end up getting the bye. I didn't quite see that happening, but there were times that as the match went on that maybe it seemed like that would take place. But no, Hangman definitely getting the upper hand after Colt dished out some pretty good offense there and some big stuff that outsmarting Hangman and pushing him off the top rope to the outside, and then taking the time to do that huge dive spot was a huge moment for Colt in the match.
I like Hangman working for the finish, like for the buckshot. I thought that was just an interesting extra, it just had the element
puts over the move for sure, right? Where like other people have obviously scouted it and seen how devastating it is. Colt by running into the ropes, doing what he could to avoid it, and then him taunting him with it, like teasing it a little bit to get him to react, and then hit him with it. No, just simple, like I was saying, storytelling from Hangman's perspective, but worked perfect for this matchup.
And then it's Taz with Brian Cage and Ricky Stark. What about this guy? What about Brian? What about Ricky? What about Raven?
I forgot about that. Yes. Oh, my new camera. I'm moving things around here. Oh yeah, we had there was a little video package with Sammy Guevara as well. A little tease.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Just before
the Seven style
thing.
Video, Seven Sammy now.
Yeah, I feel like this is again the only reason I wanted to comment on it, because this was a time I'd wished we were doing these things live, because this was one of my like prediction-y moments where I was like, oh, this is building to a like final deletion match they're going to have at the Hardy compound. When it came up later on in the night, when they were explaining a lot of the Full Gear matchups that had been announced, it had said that this is going to be the elite deletion, so you can only, in my mind, that is a big sort of glorified cinematic filmed Matt Hardy style deletion match down at the compound.
I guess this is the way they decided that they've got to do it to keep both guys out of hospital, or at the very least, if someone does end up going to hospital, we just won't see the match or how it happened. So
exactly,
no problems.
All of a sudden, Sammy Guevara is wearing a mask and it's Fuego del Sol. So we next we got one of the more interesting moments of the evening. We finally get to what the commentators were talking about a little bit as the evening went on, and what was hyped last week. Le Dinner Debonair between Chris Jericho and MJF, after MJF's very sort of trepidatious ask to be in the inner circle, and then this approach for dinner. We get the two of them out for a steak meal.
Yeah.
First, they begin sort of trying to one-up each other with their order, upping the size and cut of beef.
It never stayed. It was always a 20 ouncer the whole time.
Okay, it was always just a 20.
Steak, 20 ounces. I'll take mine medium well done, then medium well, then medium rare, then rare, and blue as hell.
So yeah.
And then we broke into what I could only describe as a Seth Rogen song and dance routine. Right? Like, it was... Do I mean Seth Rogen? Family Guy? No,
Seth
MacFarlane.
MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane's song
Okay,
and dance routine.
I don't watch Family Guy, but
It's. I got two takes. I have two takes. I laughed because I thought it was funny. I was definitely thought it was entertaining. It was a funny song. It was a super original bit. It was fantastic presentation. They both have really good voices.
yeah.
So I liked it. And then I got this other part of my head, right? That's like the Jim Cornette side of my brain. It's like, you fucking idiots. What are you doing? You're the best promos in the company next to Eddie Kingston and Moxley right now. Really? This is the way you're going to present the two best wrestlers on the wrestling show that's all about sports and wrestling is a song and dance routine. But it worked for me, so I can't totally go that way.
Yeah.
But I can't help but see it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm a little musical kid. I grew up on fucking musicals, and my dad loved the Rat Pack, so of course I recognize the Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., their Me and My Shadow cover that they ended up doing there. So this was totally on me. I'm a huge Chris Jericho fan, huge MJF fan. Great to hear him singing along with Jericho. You could definitely hear it obviously they were mouthing over the track or Milli Vanilliing it, as you would say, as they were sort of
video.
dubbing over the stuff. But I love this because at first I was sort of like, oh, geez, it seems weird. Like this feels very WWE that they're not in an actual restaurant or they don't have background actors or something to make the ambiance feel a little bit more, not just this is obviously a backstage setup. And then when it was the reveal as to why that was the way it was set up, I was like, oh, fantastic. I feel like it's leaning into the face turn from Jericho because going back to the 30th anniversary with the SNL ending and that kind of stuff, this whole feud is very comedic, and that's finally that side of Jericho we're seeing that we didn't get in the Orange Cassidy match, and that's finally coming out now. And I think with everyone else being so much more serious, this feud and stuff like that doesn't need any of that right now. And Jericho knows when to turn that on, and he can kind of come and go with that. And I'm far happier seeing this side of MJF and Jericho right now. So I totally see where it would be polarizing, and good on them for doing something like that. Fuck Cornette, and he can be super upset about something like this, seeing someone that he loves like MJF being in there singing and dancing, because I'm sure MJF really enjoyed doing something like this. I can't see him not wanting to be a part of it, right? So
and I gotta believe that Max is at that spot right now where if he thought this was going to kill him, he wouldn't have done it. But Jericho's not going to have played along if he thought it was stupid and going to kill him. It is what it was. It's not meant to get them over as wrestlers in this part. This was meant to get them over as hugely entertaining entertainers, which they are, and they did. So you get where I mean. Like I can't help this little part of me, like, really, this is what we're watching them do in the wrestling show. Jimmy's gonna be really mad at this, and I agree. You
don't want to upset Daddy Jimmy. Poor Papa Cornette's gonna be upset. Oh no, they didn't do wrestling on the wrestling show. Oh, where's all the tennis rackets? Oh, Papa Cornette gonna be upset. Oh well, sorry, Jimmy. We can't always have fucking wrestling on the wrestling show. Sometimes you gotta entertain people.
So I liked it. Thumbs up. One thumb up, the other thumb not down.
No, and like I say, all jokes aside for Cornette, I do get that. I can understand where it would be polarizing, but for me as a fan, this works. So I am going to be on that side of the fence, and I'm happy to be sitting on it. So coming up next, we were told that Britt Baker was also going to have a match tonight. We come back from the break, and Kaylan King is already waiting in the ring. Britt Baker comes out, and this... I had to stop laughing. I missed the first kind of chunk of this match because Tony Schiavone fucking made me laugh so goddamn much, because he's like, okay, hold on, I have to okay, so she's wearing pink this evening because it's breast cancer awareness month. Now she told me I have to say that, or the next time she sees me she's gonna backhand me. It came out of nowhere, like, the stuff from Tony and Britt is coming, but the fact that she said to him, I'm gonna backhand you, like, it just broke me.
No, they're everything that they've been doing with Tony and Britt has been fantastic. I think she looks really good in the ring. I really like the way she wrestles. I'm now kind of leaning towards maybe they do just take the belt off Sheeta and put it on Britt, and we just go from there with whoever is challenging her for a while and let her as the champion be the story, because she is certainly the centerpiece of that division. She's one of the best acts on the show for at least a year now. She's been one of the most entertaining speakers and bits on the show.
Yeah, I can't argue any of that for sure, and I think that the Sheeta reign has certainly maybe sort of done its limits to this point. If they weren't going to continue the sort of Thunder Rosa stuff, if they're not going to do the Nyla, or if it was going to be the Nyla thing, I'd much prefer the Britt Baker route. But the other side of it is just a little bit more time on television and stuff like that from all the women. So I mean, it was nice to see Britt here, but part of that was also, even if she was champion, I would like to see more sort of stuff from all of them. So. But yeah, I don't want to tear it down too much, because she put on a fantastic performance. Getting back in the ring here looked just solid for sure. So did Kaylin King, who's been putting on a lot of great squash or enhancement matches on Dark. I always want to call them just squashes, but she's obviously elevating herself a fair bit. But a few missed moments here and there in this match, but Britt certainly elevated her to a pretty decent about 5-minute matchup.
Yeah, it is what it was. It was supposed to be, like you said, it's an enhancement matchup. Kylan was our jobber this evening. She performed her role admirably and counted the lights.
Yes. I think I was maybe hoping for story movement or something afterwards, after when Britt just sort of won and walked to the back with Reba. It was just sort of like, oh, okay, maybe I was hoping for Sheeta's music or something to sort of figure out what the next sort of step is, but we'll have to sort of wait and see, I guess, what happens next for a lot of the women's division as things shake out over the next few weeks. We got a little package from Darby Allin, which was kind of hyped from him online throughout the week, so I was kind of already knew this was coming. I was curious to see where they were going to play it during the night, and fun to see Steve-O, another one of his sort of crazy friends, brought into the mix here, and probably not the most exciting of Darby's stunts, definitely a little bit more jackassy, but Steve-O Steve-O
I see more daring stunts since I'm on my way to work in the morning. Like, how is that not just rolling down a hill? Children do this.
But not blind in a sleeping bag, basically, or in a body bag.
Doesn't the body bag actually make you more secure? Make sure you can't accidentally break an arm? I was like, I guess Steve-O's given Darby brain damage if they think this was a stunt worth putting on TV. This was one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, compared to some of the other stuff they've done, and like how much it was sort of like, hyped up and everything. It was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be, and then he just kind of rolled down the ramp, and it was like, oh, fair enough.
Was it on fire and I didn't see the fire with the razor blades I missed? Thumbtacks in that bag? I don't know. They've done so much.
I don't know, maybe they cut stuff out or whatever, but that even for me, and I'm definitely a fan of both these guys. I expected far more from them. The jackass past of Steve-O and from Darby, the things that he's put out in the past. So a little lackluster for sure.
Like this guy, the last thing I saw him on Twitter was doing that jump through the flaming hoop on his skateboard. And then the other thing with the guy on fire. So he's usually pretty out extreme. And I remember Steve-O when I was a fan in the Jackass days.
Yeah.
This looked like, oh God, we got no ideas, but we got what do we got? A body bag and a skateboard ramp. Jesus Christ, come up with something fast, guys. What are we going to do? I don't know much about skateboard ramps, but that didn't. I think I would do that tomorrow.
I mean, and half my rib is high, and it would definitely hurt, and it's gonna suck. I'm not saying it was easy by any means, but no, it either wasn't filmed well to be impressive. They maybe should have been up on top of the ramp to maybe show the height or the fall. I feel like it was just they obviously didn't portray it enough to really get over the damage that it was certainly maybe supposed to have. So not necessarily the best of the crazy showings from Mr. Allen.
Fortunately, they saved the show with the main event. Not necessarily the best for last, but it was a great match.
Yep.
Private Party, Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy taking on the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny, taking on the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, taking on John Silver and Reynolds from the Dark Order.
Can we talk about that quick? Because I'm gonna say I've tried to give the benefit of the doubt for AEW as much as I can because I enjoy this company so much more than other ones, especially when it comes to their storytelling. And we've talked about that a lot tonight and how good their storytelling is for some people, especially some people who are brand new, like Eddie Kingston, how they could be invested in somebody and fully roll that ball out. When they first broke the Bunny off from Butcher and the Blade, it seemed very strange. And my only defense for it, because I agreed with everyone else, it was very strange. But from AEW's perspective, they had put these things over, and usually had a reason for it. And then she joined up with the Nightmare Family, and it was like, okay, there's going to be a reason for this. And then if the only reason was that she let QT lose one match to Pentagon on Dark, like just to join back up with it was just seemed so ill conceived, so ill thought out, like all the relationship with Brandy, and it's just sort of like, not everything can be perfect. Obviously, no shows can be perfect, but this was something that I tried to defend a lot, and very, very disappointing to see that this is what they ended up doing with the whole Bunny storyline, because I don't think they needed to bring her back. They didn't, but obviously it wasn't working in the Nightmare Family stuff either. I don't know. I'm at a real loss with this one.
I'm not going to argue or disagree with you at all. I think it's a weird. I thought, again, I don't watch Dark, so I was looking to you to tell me what they had kind of done on Dark that had made this make a little bit more sense. The last reference I remember hearing was Eddie Kingston when they were having the family fight in the ring that one night after a Dynamite near the end of the show. And Kingston was like, "We got your family issues," to the Blade, whose wife that is in real life.
He said, "Get your family in order."
Yeah. And I thought then that we're going to see a move in the storyline where they're going to go and confront QT, and we're going to make you pay for kind of half-ass stealing my wife here. And she only ever seemed like she was loosely with him, like she was admiring and adoring of QT, but obviously did not like being paired with Brandy Rhodes. That was a tag team breakup feud waiting to happen. It was just a matter of how long they were going to keep them together for before we got the one-on-one matches. And so if that has suddenly all disintegrated into just, well, okay, behind the scenes, we've fixed the family problem and she's back as the Bunny now. Yeah, that's awkward, and it's as awkward having her back tonight as it was the first night they introduced her.
No, and I mean, it could eventually make sense. They could now have a feud between the Nightmare Family guy, the Natural Nightmare guys, and Butcher and the Blade, but it just seems ill-timed. There was no reason for it to be now. It was just because because Eddie had brought it up, and then they were like, well, we can't not, fulfill something that's been brought up or whatever, and we need to follow through with this storyline. But it was just sort of like nothing, and it was just like, well, yeah, I hope for something more out of this, and then if that was all it was, I'm going to be very disappointed. And I think they will obviously feud maybe after this, but it just seems so, what could have been a big moment. Like, obviously you've built up this character and everything else. Now she just seems even more so forgotten. And it feels like a much step down for Butcher and the Blade to have her back. They were on a good streak, beating guys, getting wins, and not needing to have the distraction from her. And she didn't benefit them to getting the win here tonight either. So it wasn't like it was the big thing that brought them back to the dance kind of deal. So no, I was feeling a little bummed out about that, but it didn't take me out of the match. We'll definitely get to that next, but I definitely wanted to comment on that a little bit because I try my best to put things over and look at the most positive perspective on it, but this was definitely something where I was like, man, I gave this the benefit of the doubt for almost 9 months now since they turned the Bunny and did all that kind of stuff, and that was just very disappointing. So
there is, I guess, the off chance that if we're right and that they've kind of decided changing plan on Eddie and we're actually going to move him into main event status, maybe that is a reason why should have been him and the boys against QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes had to change, because we're getting you out of the mid card, man. We're putting you up here.
Well, for sure, because if if it's Eddie and he has that crew of like Eddie with what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, that's an easy sort of matchup for Eddie versus Brody and the Dark Order members because they have a female as well, or if it's the Nightmare family, if they bring Cody in and that kind of stuff. So again, yeah, it with there being other factions, I could totally understand them wanting to bring a female in because that seems to be what the other ones are doing as well. So
But just
I
give us the
understand it
full
on that
story.
end. Yeah, totally. So
Yeah,
but yeah, I feel like there could have been much better ways of going about it. I don't know
sure.
exactly what that is off the top of my head right now, but yeah, I just hope for more out of a team that I really like. I enjoy Butcher and the Blade, and I feel like it's unfortunate when they get stuck in situations like this. So, but yeah, getting to the match, I think was fantastic. I don't want to dampen too much of that, but I think yeah, these four put on a really good competition here. I think this got a bit of slack online about the build for it, which I think was a little weird with the Tumblr thing, but I feel like that's an AEW problem overall. That's never, as a fan, I've sort of established it in my head, but they've never said it on commentary, so I can never say that it's a real like fact of the kayfabe of AEW, where yes, they have rankings and the rankings are important and they mean something, but that the rankings are different than number one contenders. But they never choose to explain something like that, but it does certainly feel that way. You can have number one contenders that come from other situations, whether it's a slew of wins that bring you somewhere, whether it's winning a gauntlet or something like that, or your name being drawn from a hat type thing. So but you can also get title opportunities from the rankings where like you beat other teams, you rank yourself up, and then you choose to try to challenge. So it can feel a little hazy because they don't talk about that stuff. And that getting all these members into this matchup certainly had a little bit of that sort of confusion, but it didn't take me out of it too much. And I think all four of them put on a really, really fun match. The comeback from Silver was insane.
Yeah.
When he just like was going crazy on everybody once the sort of carnage had flown to the outside.
Little roided up cannonball running around on the outside of the ring.
Really excited to see that, and fun to see the Young Bucks back in action. It's been quite a while since we saw them in the ring.
Yeah, I take the whining as you were putting it for the way that the match was put together. I take that online stuff as not from AEW fans. I always see that as that's WWE fans trying to, but I thought you were all about wrestling and rankings, and that was all that mattered. And it's not an AEW fan saying that; it's somebody else trying to poke holes. Because as you say, they've made like right now we've got Eddie Kingston has a world title match at the same time as they're having a tournament to determine who will be the next world champion contender. And we know there are rankings right now. There is a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 doesn't mean A, doesn't mean B, doesn't mean C. There's different, right? Which is, they're just kayfabe plots, which is perfect. You need more plot devices. That's all it is, another plot device. So
and I don't think it diminishes
I have no
the
problem
rankings
with
at all. Yeah.
No, I have no problem with the way that they've decided this is going to be a number 1 contender, and we're not doing it by the rankings with 4 teams. We're going to do it this way this time.
Yeah.
I got no. If I had any problem with
especially
it at all,
right after the number 1 team just had their match, that's fine. They literally,
for sure.
Your number 1 team just had their win. Like, this isn't like an official, place where it's literally you just climb through the ranks. That doesn't even work in MMA or boxing.
No, you're right. Exactly.
You never just walk through the ranks. People would love if that was the case. So
the number 1 contender doesn't always get the title shot either. Yeah. You know that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, even if you're, not an MMA fan, that kind of thing can happen. So that's not a thing to break at all. So I don't think when they said there were rankings that was absolutely going to be the stipulation. Okay, if you're number 1 ranked, you get a title shot. That was always just a nice way to put guys over. Yes, he's ranked number 1 in all of our singles competition. That's always how I viewed it. Exactly. But I could, maybe other people don't view it that way because they're not accustomed to it. So,
I think the picture-in-picture ruined the bit with the Dark Order and the Bunny. That was a shame because I thought that was it looked pretty good, but if it had been large with commentary calling it at the same time, would have been more impressive and important.
Fair enough. Yeah.
The Dark sequence, the Dark Order finishing sequence that was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Up until the point where Jackson jumped in and broke it up, like that looked like they were going to take the win.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And then I thought that Isaiah Cassidy had it with the roll up as well. I thought that was the end of the match.
Yeah, a couple of really good close calls, especially there at the very end. And
the closest call, of course, was the finish, because that wasn't a 3 count. Why did they replay it twice?
No.
Kicked out, for Christ's sakes. He rolled.
Well, yeah, or like I was trying to watch the show because I thought maybe if that was going to be the story going on, because again, that was some of my trepidation with this, especially with the Bucks moving forward, and we'll get to some of the stuff that happened later, was sort of, it didn't feel like the right time to have the FTR feud necessarily right now with the way the Bucks were sort of turning along with everybody else. It didn't feel like it had the sort of the reasonings that like sort of Kenny has to be a little bit more upset with Hangman or whatever, or other people when they end up turning type deals. It just felt a little less built up, and there needed to be a little bit more reasonings, and we kind of get to that later on in the match. So I was a little bit worried that they were going to win and it was going to be a little lackluster, but the match put forward was just a totally different story. I thought maybe different teams were going to win. So I didn't get that prediction right for sure that someone else was going to win. The Bucks definitely went away with the win here, but I did predict something a few weeks ago that we did end up seeing here tonight in this match, which was Silver and Reynolds don't have to wear their masks anymore.
That's right. That's right. I forgot you said that.
I think it was like literally a week before, and then like in the next Brody TNT match or something like that, the commentaries made a subtle comment where they were like, "Oh, Mr. Brody said because of how good Silver did helping him, they no longer have to wear their masks or whatever." And I was like, "That's all it takes." And it makes sense that now the other underlings, have to put a year in wearing a mask, and they've already done their time, and it's only helping them get over. And a really, really fun main event. I was a little trepidatious with the Young Bucks getting the win, obviously, like I was commenting on, but the night certainly fixed things with the way we ended up going off the air. The FTR were on commentary throughout the entire evening. Nice to kind of hear them sort of taking jabs at everybody, putting them over a little bits, especially more so Butcher and the Blade, and a bit of Silver and Reynolds, but they come out to sort of do their sort of congratulation type thing that they've been doing with other teams, especially with getting into the faces of the Young Bucks, bringing the beers and stuff like that. The Young Bucks kind of having nothing to do with it, slapping the beers out of their hands, but they get jumped by a kind of slow moving masked man in a hat that they apparently commentators can't recognize, but I pretty much knew right away. But he was moving pretty fast-ish, but I was pretty sure who this was. But he gave them the advantage to use a chair and start beating down on the Young Bucks. They did the assisted package pile driver, and then the broken leg move, the Pillmanizing, as they call it, I suppose, to Matt Jackson's leg. And I really like this, the sort of full-on commitment to the sort of nasty heel side of the FTR, that storyline of the Young Bucks finally, again, getting this opportunity and something getting in the way of it, whether they end up going into the match with the slowed down Matt Jackson, or if they don't even make it there at all, which is what I really hope ends up happening. I hope that Matt's just put out and someone else has to be put in that place.
I'm thinking this is their out. Yeah. I'm thinking this is their out. Get the Young Bucks out of the match now because Jackson's broken leg, and we either have a 3-way between Private Party, Butcher and the Blade, and Silver and Reynolds to determine who fights them like next week at Full Gear, or a different way to determine who fights FTR at Full Gear, if anyone wants to fight FTR at Full Gear. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was my only complaint. My only complaint of this match was that bit at the ending.
Oh, really?
Like we got 1991 Tony Schiavone with, "Who's the third man with FTR?" And where's Tony Blanchard at? Like, oh, for fuck's sake, Schiavone, get your head out of your fucking ass. Who do you think it is? Like, that stuff drives me crazy. That's Michael Cole shit at its finest. And I don't treat it like a fucking moron. We all know who that is. Fuck. But anyway, aside from that, aside from being made to feel like a child, it was fine.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to say the attack parts, but no, to Tony being a bit of an idiot.
The attack was awesome.
Yeah.
Schiavone. Like, oh, who could it be? I don't wonder who it is, Tony. Oh, fuck.
The commentators cannot be perfect in my mind. We didn't touch on any of them, but JR certainly had his fucking fumbles this evening. My God.
I think we're at the point now of where it's a given It's
I just
Ross
roll my
time.
eyes. Yeah. He kept calling the tournament a tag tournament. It's like it's singles, guys. There's not a there's a tag. There's one tag team that broke up. I'm so sorry that's so fucking confusing for you, old man. But yes, the tag team champions broke up and are now in a singles tournament to determine the next world champion. So if you could pay a little bit of fucking attention, thanks. I'd appreciate it. Oh, I hate giving poor JR a hard time, but my. But yeah,
what can
all
you
that
do
kind of stuff
anymore?
aside, I think a pretty solid Dynamite for sure.
I'll agree with what you said back in the opening. It felt like a bit of a throwback to what really made me fall in love with the show. Is a lot of wrestling, a lot of action, a lot of entertainment. And the bit that was different, the most different part of the night, was vastly different to what we're used to seeing. And
Totally.
I can't not like that, because that's what I like about wrestling. It give me familiarity, give me what I like, and give me some new shit as well that I don't even know I wanted to see.
Yeah, totally. I would have never have asked to see something like that. So them giving it to me, I'm going to be more appreciative of it and more open to experiencing it and less critical. So, but I can see it from the other end too. But I was very satisfied with this evening and excited to see what happens next week on Dynamite. It'll be the 28th, close to Halloween, getting into the spooky time. Should I lay out a challenge here, Chris? Should we dress up for our next Low Blow Radio podcast here?
Oh, I'm dressing up.
Oh my gosh.
I got my Halloween costume for Low Blow picked out already.
The gauntlet is laid out well. I think the closest one to Halloween we'll end up doing will likely be the 28th, I would guess then. So look out for those costumes, everybody. We'll be dressed up. And I think that about wraps things up for this Blow by Blow. Chris, you want to let everyone know where they can listen to us?
You can listen to us live on the radio every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. 88.7 The River, local radio at its best. But only if you live in Ontario, Canada. Otherwise, you got to pick us up online, 887theriver.ca. There's an archive button there as well. You could listen to old shows. And also, the podcast edition audio style goes out via the Sounder Network to many, many podcasty things.
That's right. And if you are watching us here on YouTube, thank you very much. Give us a little like if you enjoyed this episode. You can subscribe as well. Ring the little bell. It'll let you know when the new videos are coming out. Get into the comments. Let us know. Give us some predictions. What you think our Halloween costumes might be and what you thought of this episode of Dynamite. And we'll be back with another Blow by Blow here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Adios, amigos.